All right, let's see here. All right, we might be live. Let's see. Oh, yep. I think we're good. All right, so this will be a bit of an experiment. Let's see. So we've got the background working. We've got me showing up small there in the corner. So one update that I'm really looking forward to for anybody that happens to watch this later is I am waiting on a piece of equipment to come in that will help me use my SLR camera for streaming and podcast interviews and that sort of thing. I'm really excited about that. That's going to really up the quality of the video content that is coming out, and it's going to encourage me to do more live streams. So excited about that. Checking over on the Discord there. If you aren't on our Discord server, go to cacpodcast.com/connect, and you can get on our Discord server. We've got a nice little community there of people that are really interested in cannabis science and learning about cannabis. And I do giveaways sometimes on there and other little things. There's a forum on there to ask questions. A lot of the guest educators that participate in Curious About Cannabis events are on the Discord server and can answer questions. So I encourage folks to get on there. Hey, how's it going, Christian? Thanks for joining this little live stream. We'll see how it goes here. So one thing I wanted to do, so I'm mostly trying to do this live stream to make sure that everything's working, that my recordings are coming out okay, and I'm preparing for a couple of upgrades. So we're just going to kind of mess around. I'm going to poke around on the internet and look at some like cannabis science articles and things, see what we get into. One thing that's interesting, let me see if I can get my switch over to make myself a little bigger here until I have something more to bring up. Let's see, that should do it. So one thing I'm really excited about is that in my home state of Mississippi, where I recently moved back to, we had our first medical cannabis sale in the state yesterday. So that was really exciting news. Really stoked to see that happen in a place like Mississippi in the United States. I ran away from Mississippi like 11 years ago or so because I wanted to try to move to a place where I could get access to legal cannabis. So I moved to Oregon, became a medical patient, and that was before there was legalization anywhere. And it's just been such a crazy journey. And now to have made my way back to Mississippi, and that's a whole crazy story unto itself, to be back and for the medical program to be rolling out and to see people actually going to dispensaries in the state and buying cannabis is really cool. And there is an adult use cannabis bill that's been put forward, I think, in the House for Mississippi. So we'll see how that goes as well. So fingers crossed we might see adult use in this state as well. Just super fascinating. I think about like my perspective on cannabis through the past couple of decades, you know, and really seeing this shift from total prohibition, you know, to a just 180-degree flip almost. It's just really bizarre, really crazy to take in. Let's take a look here and see what pops up in the news. Just type in cannabis science and see what happens. And let me see if I can share this with you. Make myself small again. Da 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 da. And okay. And let's see, it's not showing up. What's going on here? Make myself small again, but why is... Oh, here we go. Boom. And there we go. All right. So these are the kinds of things I have to work out, and why I'm doing this live stream in the first place. So let's see. I typed in cannabis science. Let's see what we've got. Quality control in cannabis microbiology. That's a huge topic. Over the past several years, there's been this huge debate over whether labs should be doing culturing methods where you have, basically a petri dish or some sort of film that has a nutritive media on it. You take a cannabis sample of some sort, put it on that media, and you see what grows. That's called culturing, versus DNA testing, which uses a technology called PCR, polymerase chain reaction, where you basically take a little bit of DNA and amplify it a whole bunch so that you can see what DNA is there, compare it to some standard so that you know whether a certain organism is present or not. And on the surface, it would seem like you would always want molecular DNA testing, but it's kind of complicated, and it relates to how regulations are set up and the language that's used around how microbiological testing has to be reported. Particularly, a lot of states want to see data in what's called colony-forming units per gram, and PCR tests, that's not how they work. There are ways to correlate PCR results with colony-forming units per gram, but it gets a little tricky. Some people might argue with me about that, but it does seem to get a little bit tricky. And so there was an issue that came up in Michigan. I guess now it's been a couple of years, where this issue really was impacting the industry there. There were several studies going on to try to understand how to interpret different lab results for microbiological contaminants, depending on whether they were DNA tests or culturing tests. And that debate is still going on. So that ramble brings us to this little news article that I just found. Let's see what they have to say. Media versus molecular-based microbiological testing. What are the different levels of quality used for each? Yeah, so that's exactly what this is. And it looks like this is just a webcast that you can sign up for free, which is cool. So if you're interested in that and learning more about what I just talked about, it looks like you could just sign up and check out that webcast. I was hoping that'd be a news article or something, though. I did see this. This was interesting. Cannabis increases your orgasm intensity and helps with multiple orgasms, study finds. This isn't entirely new. There are studies that have shown that people, have reported this for a long time, informally and formally on, research surveys and that sort of thing. There's a lot of questions around how this relates to things like sperm motility and it's just outright quantity and all this sort of stuff too. There's kind of mixed data on some of that, but in general, yeah, the experience of sex, studies have found basically repeatedly at this point that cannabis does enhance the experience of sex. The subjective experience of sex is usually reported to be higher. Sometimes those reports are disproportionate with sort of physiological measurements that are being made. I don't think that necessarily really matters at all. It's always hard to measure subjective experience and correlate that to objective measurements. So that's nothing new. Yeah, so interesting, fun study that got reported very recently. I've seen this in the news quite a bit. Let's see. one thing with cannabis that has also come up in research is that it seems like it does make sperm tend to spin in circles more. And so some of the like headlines and things you may have seen before about cannabis causing reductions in basically fertility and that sort of thing, it usually relates to that cannabis use does seem to slightly reduce sperm count and the motility of the sperm changes. So that's why I'm interested to see how that kind of data compares to a study like this that's really more focused on the subjective experience of the intensity of an orgasm. But I'm interested, like, does that actually relate to, more sperm or anything? I don't know. I haven't actually looked up this study. I'm hoping to see. Here we go. I feel like the link to the study ought to be the very first thing that they post. It's always so annoying to have to hunt those down. Let's see. So it was an online survey tool. So that's, so they didn't actually measure the amount of sperm or anything like that. So yeah, interesting. It's like, is this a real thing in the sense of are these higher orgasms also correlated with more sperm? A lot of the data on cannabis would suggest otherwise. But either way, cannabis is influencing that subjective experience. And we all live in our subjective worlds all the time. So that's very important. So interesting stuff. Let's see here. So far, the stream is held up. We haven't dropped at all, so that's good. We've made it, almost 10 minutes or something? 5 minutes? I don't know. So interesting. Let's see here. I'm going to take that away. Still getting used to some of these controls as far as changing what shows up on the screen here. But and I actually realize now that I may have just done all of that, looking at that study and everything, without any of that showing up on the screen. So if I did that, well, that's what that's what this kind of live stream is for. Dang. Let's see here. Just for the sake of making sure it works here. So now I've got the study back on the screen. So if anyone listened to my ramble about cannabis and semen, well, there's a study that has been popping up in all of these pop culture articles recently. It's a fun study. I don't find it super interesting just because it's an online survey and there's a lot of issues with that kind of data collection. It's there are a lot of ways for bias to enter those sorts of things, but then a survey is sort of all about bias at the same time. So I don't know. I feel like it's already common knowledge that people know that cannabis tends to make sex feel better. So, but now we've got a peer-reviewed survey to prove it. Let's see here. Let's switch to something else. So make the window go away again. There we go. And then I'm going to make myself bigger again. Bear with me for just a second. La da 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 da. Okay, so now I should be big. And let's see how that's looking there. It's hard for me to tell. There's a big delay on what I can preview and what I'm actually doing. So I'm a little confused on what's actually coming through. It says we've been going about 15 minutes. I'm nervous about pressing on without being able to tell. Okay, here we go. I think I can jump forward a bit and see if I can catch up. All right, cool. So it is full screen. Like I said, bear with me, folks. We're learning here, and this is a live stream, so you get what you get as it happens. So the cannabis science news stuff was kind of boring. I'm going to go through some curious about cannabis updates and share a couple of other things that I find interesting and kind of more fun, and then we'll probably call it a day. I have a few things I'm looking forward to experimenting with. Like I said, I've got my SLR camera that as soon as I get this part in the next few days, I'll be able to start using it for the live streaming. So the quality of live streaming videos and YouTube videos in general is going to go up quite a bit. I mean, I use the SLR camera to film like the quick questions videos and that sort of thing, but I really want videos of podcast interviews, even if I'm doing them on the web. I want those to be nice too. So let's see what I'll go through. One of the most obvious things to talk about is the book. So some of you know that I was waiting a long time to get my first copy of the third edition of the Curious About Cannabis book. Even though I wrote it, for some reason, I still had to wait a really long time to get it. But anyway, it's finally here. So I'm really excited about that. Try to make sure the camera can get that. But I'm, in general, really pleased with this book. There is one thing, actually two things, that are wrong with it that drive me nuts, that probably most of you will not even notice or care about if you do notice it. But for me, it drives me nuts. So I'm going to try to find a way to fix it and get it reissued, because it wasn't in the proof. But you may notice, if you get a copy, that the table of contents shows up as like hyperlinks. They're underlined and a different color. And they were not like that in the proof. And I guess when the printer used the PDF file, it like automatically detected links and threw them into the book, which I specifically tried to turn off. Not a big deal at all, really. It doesn't impact anything as far as the functionality of the book, but I notice it, so I'm going to fix it. And anyone out there with OCD that noticed it, it was not intentional. The proof was good, and I'm going to get those things corrected so that they're in the same black font as everything else, and then my brain will feel happy about it. But other than that, I've been really happy. Oh, I'm getting a call from Kyle Boyer here. Let me pause the live stream for just a bit, and I'll be back.